All right, welcome. Today, we're diving into a concept that honestly sounds like it's straight out of science fiction: the self-driving company. We're looking at a vision from a company called ENDWORTH, and they argue this isn't some far-off dream. It's the next massive shift in how business works, and it's happening right now. So let's break down what that actually means.
ENDWORTH kicks things off with a claim that's just impossible to ignore. I mean, think about that. They're not just talking about a new trend. They're saying the fundamental rules of business, the things that have decided winners and losers for centuries, are being completely torn up and rewritten as we speak.
For as long as anyone can remember, the game was pretty straightforward, right? You competed on having the best price, the best product, or the best people. But the argument here is that those things are now just, well, they're the bare minimum. They're just the cost of entry. So if that's the old game, what's the new one?
And there you have it. The new battlefield isn't about being the biggest or the cheapest anymore. It's about being smarter and way, way faster. We're talking about the speed and, more importantly, the quality of every single decision your company makes every second of every day. This is the big idea we're going to unpack.
Okay, so what's the big problem ENDWORTH is trying to solve? Their diagnosis is, frankly, pretty brutal. They say that companies today are structurally broken. And it's not because the people are bad. It's because the entire way we run things relies on something with very limited bandwidth, the human brain.
So take a look at this. ENDWORTH calls it the broken loop, and it's how pretty much every company operates. You see some data, someone has to figure out what it means, they decide what to do about it, and then someone else goes and does it. Seems logical, right? But it has a fatal flaw. Every single one of those steps has to wait for a person. That delay, that's the bottleneck.
And here is the kicker. That entire loop, from spotting a problem to actually doing something about it, takes, even in a really well-run company, between 24 and 72 hours. But the market, your customers, your competitors, they're not waiting around for 3 days. They move in seconds. And that delay, it's not a small thing. This human latency, as they call it, has massive costs. We're talking about wasting money on ads that aren't working, missing huge opportunities, and worst of all, not seeing a crisis coming until it's already knocking down your door. It's a flaw that's baked right into the old system.
So, if the way we've been doing things for 100 years is broken, what's the alternative? This is where ENDWORTH proposes something truly radical. A company built on a completely new foundation, the self-driving company.
Now, this is a really important distinction, so let's be super clear. This is not another dashboard. It's not a fancy analytics tool to help people do their jobs better. No, it's positioned as a full-on operating system that replaces that slow human decision-making part of the loop. It's built to think for itself. This chart just lays it out perfectly. The old way is a straight line with a bunch of stop signs. The new model, it's a continuous autonomous loop. It doesn't just see data and wait. It observes, it debates strategies, it simulates outcomes, and then, and this is the real secret sauce, it evolves. It gets smarter with every single cycle. That's the compounding advantage. So how in the world does a system think for an entire company? Well, ENDWORTH uses this really fantastic analogy to explain it: an AI government.
At the heart of it all is an AI executive council, which is basically a C-suite full of specialized AIs. You've got your CMO AI handling marketing, a CFO AI for the money, a COO AI for operations. You get the idea. Each one is a world-class expert in its own little world.
But here's the absolute genius part. These AIs don't just sit around and agree with each other. They are built by design to argue. They challenge each other's ideas. The marketing AI might want to spend a ton of money on a new campaign, but the finance AI is going to push back and say, "Prove it. Show me the ROI." It's a system designed to kill human bias and find the objectively best path forward.
And who makes the final call? That would be the meta governor. You can think of it as the synthetic CEO. It listens to all the debates from the council, runs the final numbers, and then issues the command. And it does it all without ego, without getting tired, and without playing politics. Just pure data-driven logic.
But before that meta governor makes a single move, before a single dollar is spent, the system runs an absolutely staggering number of tests. How many? Well, take a look.
10,000. 10,000 simulated futures. It tests every possible action against 10,000 different outcomes inside what's called a digital twin, which is just a perfect virtual copy of the entire business. This is how you go from reacting to the past to actually predicting the future. It's a total game changer.
Okay, so that's the how. The technology is clearly incredible. But what about the so what? What does all this actually get you in the real world? This is the payoff. This is why it's better.
And look, the results they're talking about aren't just small improvements. These are fundamental structural advantages. Things like growing revenue without having to hire more people, operating with zero delay, and my favorite, actually preventing crises before they happen instead of just cleaning up the mess. And the whole time, the system is getting smarter, creating an advantage that just keeps growing.
So, you remember that 24 to 72-hour human decision cycle we talked about? Well, this entire system, observing, debating, simulating, and executing, does it all in just 30 seconds. The difference is, it's like comparing a horse and buggy to a fighter jet. You're not even in the same sport anymore.
So let's zoom out for the big picture. The argument here is way bigger than just a new piece of software. It's about creating an entirely new kind of company. ENDWORTH makes a really bold point with this chart. History shows that when a new category is created, the company that defines it, the category king, ends up capturing almost all of the value. We're talking 76% on average. They're not trying to build a better version of something old. They're trying to create the entire category of autonomous commerce from scratch.
And this quote just says it all. The ultimate goal here isn't just to help companies keep up with the future. The goal is to build the actual companies that will own that future. It's about creating a permanent compounding advantage that your competitors just can't catch.
Which leaves us with this final, really provocative question. What does happen when a company can run, grow, and think all by itself? It's a future that could redefine everything we know about business. And according to this document, that future isn't coming someday, it's already being built.